The tobacco industry goes to court Monday to snuff out new Food and Drug Administration regulations due to start later this month. But the FDA says its limits on cigarette availability and advertising to minors will stand, especially in light of internal tobacco company documents showing the industry knew nicotine was addictive as early as 1963.
That and all of the other information and evidence that's come out puts us in the position of being able to say, yeah, we think that we will prevail in court.
In June, tobacco companies faced the first of 19 states suing to recoup Medicaid money spent treating tobacco-related illnesses. Hundreds of individual suits have been filed, as well as class action lawsuits in 13 states. Last summer, the industry suffered a stunning loss in a Florida case, the first where jurors saw the damaging tobacco company documents. Some predict it's time for once invincible tobacco companies to make a deal.
Because if they start losing cases, if they lose the first big Medicaid case, again, the other side gets additional strength out of that kind of loss, and they're going to be able to demand more of the industry.
Any nationwide settlement would likely go through Congress, but the industry says it's not negotiating.
Since this is basically a legal issue, the courts have got to deal with it. This is not something that Congress can really get involved with.
Any deal would likely involve hefty payments to plaintiffs and states in return for immunity from liability for the tobacco companies and limited or no FDA regulation.
It strikes me as unconscionable for the Congress to excuse the tobacco companies from what harm it may do to people in the future or what harm it's done to people today.
Unless the FDA retains ongoing jurisdiction, unless there's some way to really enforce these new rules, the American public will not have won.
Some former members of Congress have been approached to broker a deal, but satisfying all sides would be difficult, if not impossible. Kathleen Koch for CNN, Capitol Hill.
Seeking closure and clues, families of those killed aboard TWA Flight 800 embarked on an emotional journey. In Calverton, New York today, they got their first look at the wreckage of the 747. Many of the relatives very moved by what they saw.
We were given white roses, and each one of us put a white rose in the seat where he had been sitting, and the number of the seat was still on the armrest. And I just pictured him sitting there in the seat with his arms on the armrest, and they have the seats all lined up row by row, and you go in and when you look at the empty seats that are charred and busted up and mangled, you immediately run through your mind, these seats were full at one time, and they were full of life and full of people and children and husbands and wives, and it's just so upsetting to see them sitting there like that, completely empty and just broken to pieces.
Many of these relatives praised investigators' efforts to find the cause of the crash, but some criticized TWA for what they claimed was a lack of financial support for the families. Pamela Harriman left life as she lived it, surrounded by dignitaries and the powerful. The remains of the U.S. ambassador to France were returned home today for a Thursday burial. She was saluted for her diplomatic service to the United States, and the French honored her as one of their own.
Eternal Father, before whom the generations rise and pass away, make sacred to us the memory of your servant, Ambassador Pamela Harriman. As you have accepted her into your house of many mansions, so now accept our gratitude and humble thanks for her life and her time among us.
May I express to you, on behalf of my mother, Ambassador Pamela Harriman, and my family's deep gratitude for the honor you are according her here today by your presence at her homecoming to American soil. She fought tenaciously for the interests of her adoptive country and of the Western Alliance.
Ambassador Pamela Harriman will be remembered for what she made of herself. To all who knew her or had the pleasure of working with her, she was always a source of light, not a reflection of it. And so, with the passing of an American star this week, the City of Light is a little dimmer and America is diminished. May God bless and comfort her family and her many, many friends, and may we always remember her with a smile.
The Spider-like traction of all-wheel drive, the new Subaru 2.5 GT can take you places those European sports sedans simply can't.
Mere mortals.
Look out! Here comes Spider-Man!
Salmon on the menu today, and the special is served with mango.
Did you say tango?
I'd love to.
You know those pants that are made out of fabric that knows how to move? These are those pants.
I'll have the special.
These are slates.
Nobody wants to finish second. That's why Icon Office Solutions helps you compete better. With copier systems, computer networking, and outsourcing, all designed to help your company do one thing: win. Icon Office Solutions. Work to win.
Nothing takes you out of the action faster than a diarrhea medicine that can let you down. But you can count on Imodium AD to stop diarrhea, often in one dose. You could end up taking dose after dose after dose of the pink stuff to stop diarrhea as effectively as Imodium AD. Don't take chances when you have diarrhea. Take Imodium AD, one dose relief you can count on.
We're well into February now, and the overnight lows will be looking like it, cold all the way south into Mexico. Your full forecast is coming up.
After 3 days of political turmoil in Ecuador, the future of the tiny South American country may be a bit clearer now. The military has withdrawn its support of ousted President Abdallah Bucaram, and the defense minister has resigned. CNN's Harris Whitbeck joins us now live on the phone from Quito with the latest. Harris, what is the state of things there tonight?
Andrea, the leaders of the parliamentary blocs of Congress have just left a meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the Armed Forces. There is a lot of talk in Quito tonight that the current Vice President, Rosalía Arteaga, is the person most favored by the Army to replace Abdallah Bucaram. Now, to achieve that, the armed forces have to reach a consensus with the leaders of Congress, and the speculation is that that is what this meeting that just ended was about. Throughout the day, several sources, including diplomats, have mentioned the temporary appointment of the vice president as a reasonable scenario for the immediate resolution of the crisis. Andrea.
Yes, because Harris, Congress named a third person, did they not, to be president?
Well, that's right. Originally, there were 3 people who were vying for the job: the vice president that we mentioned, President Bucaram, of course, and the president of the Congress, Fabián Alarcón. As I say, Alarcón and the other leaders of the parliamentary blocs were meeting with the armed forces, and the feeling is that the armed forces was trying to get their consensus so that they could go ahead and name who would be the next president.
Now, Bucaram was elected by a popular vote and was fairly popular himself. What happened?
Well, there were a couple of points. Many people here say that after he took office 6 months ago, the levels of corruption within the government rose dramatically, and there are all sorts of horror stories about people trying to get shipments in through customs who had to pay thousands of dollars in bribes. On top of that, the implementation of an economic austerity program, which was very severe, made people here lose a lot of their buying power. And the feeling was that if people have to tighten their belts, their leaders shouldn't be taking that money if in fact that was what was occurring.
Well, now what does Bucaram have to say about these latest developments?
Bucaram is currently in his hometown, which is the coastal city of Guayaquil, and he continues to refuse to formally step down. He says his opponents are trying to install a civilian dictatorship in the country, but he is trying to give the impression that he is very confident about his future. He says, well, he said tonight that he is planning on taking a short 2-day holiday starting Sunday to celebrate the start of Carnival here. But he did insist that he will be back in Quito, the country's capital, on Wednesday. However, as we have seen tonight, many here, including the armed forces, do seem to have other plans for him.
Harris, Ecuador is a democracy, but it's more comfortable really with military rule and the military switching their allegiance. Is this going to make it a more peaceful transition, do you think, or more violent?
Well, you have to remember that Ecuador has been under civilian rule for the last 17 years. And it is one of the countries in South America that has perhaps been the more stable in the last few years. The role that the Army has played here has been very interesting in the fact that since the beginning, the Army has said that it plans on supporting democracy in the country and that it wanted to stay out from the original fray about who would take control. So people seem to be very confident in the role that the Army has taken, and they have in fact been asking that the Army step in, not to take power, but to perhaps lead those people who are vying for power to a quick and peaceful solution.
So we will be keeping our eye on what happens with the military then. Thank you to Harris Whitbeck reporting to us live by phone from Quito, Ecuador. A battle in San Francisco over insurance benefits for domestic partners has reached a ceasefire. CNN's Rusty Dornan finds a compromise that may keep everyone in business.
It's a tentative agreement, one that won't fly for another 2 years. But after a battle with the city of San Francisco, United Airlines may offer benefits to unmarried and gay partners of its employees by 1999.
We're really claiming today as a victory for not only gay and lesbian employees, but a victory for the heart of non-discrimination.
San Francisco doesn't do business with companies who don't offer benefits to domestic partners. 3 weeks ago, the city refused to approve a 25-year lease with United to build a new airport facility unless the airline complied with the city's domestic partners law. United must offer benefits to employees nationwide within 2 years or lose the remaining 23-year option on the lease.
And it's very satisfactory. They have agreed to be in compliance with our domestic partners ordinance.
The head of the airline attendants union says it's a shallow victory. United is already giving domestic partners benefits in New Zealand, Australia, and the Netherlands.
If they're currently providing it elsewhere because the laws of those countries mandate or require them to do so, then I believe that they should have done this and made it available to all United Airlines employees.
Earlier this week, the Catholic Church compromised with the city on the same issue. The church, which holds contracts with the city, had moral objections to extending benefits to so-called domestic partners.
Under the compromise, a local church member can designate a child, a spouse, or any legal member of a household to receive benefits. That goes beyond what even San Francisco was asking.
For the United employees, the friendly skies of the world's largest airline may be getting a little friendlier. Rusty Dornan, CNN, San Francisco.
President Clinton will head to Capitol Hill this coming week to defend his new budget. Republicans are already criticizing the proposal, but they say they are willing to work for a compromise. During his visit to Congress, President Clinton is also expected to talk about balancing the budget. Now, he's against a balanced budget amendment, but Republicans claim that's the only way.
We've had a budget that hasn't been balanced for the last 29 years. We've been talking about it, but we've done a poor job of doing it. And I think it's time that we put our money where our mouth is and pass the balanced budget amendment now, and over 80% of the American people want it.
There's disagreement even among those who want a balanced budget amendment as to the form it will take. I myself come down on the side of the Nobel laureates and the economists who say that we do not have to rewrite the Constitution in order to balance the budget. Witness the budget that the President has just sent over, which has us in balance in 5 years.
For the complete interview with Nancy Pelosi and J.C. Watts, tune into CNN's Inside Politics Weekend, Sunday morning at 10:30 Eastern. Here are some other stories making headlines. Vice President Al Gore and Russian Prime Minister Viktor Chernomyrdin were greeted by boos while visiting the Chicago Auto Show. Hundreds of ticket buyers screamed for refunds after standing in the cold for 40 minutes, while the dignitaries got a private tour. Remarks by Gore and Chernomyrdin were cut short. The mayor of Chicago, Richard Daley, apologized for the rocky reception. Still, Chernomyrdin appeared impressed by the cars in the auto show. He said they represented the wave of the future. Leaders of the National Rifle Association took verbal potshots at each other today. At an NRA board meeting, emotional arguments erupted over a move to change bylaws that would make it easier to oust NRA leaders. It's a sign of the internal power struggle that could change the direction of one of America's strongest lobbying groups. The clash postponed the vote until tomorrow. NRA membership has dropped sharply since 1995. The wayward freighter that ran onto the only living coral reef in the continental U.S. is now on its way again. Salvage experts pumped enough fuel out of the 600-foot-long container ship to float it off the reef southeast of Key West. The ship ran aground in the marine sanctuary 6 days ago. Now, no oil has leaked, but there is damage to the reef, which is the third largest in the world. Still ahead on Newsnight, she started her life anew when she sued to divorce her biological parents. So why is Kimberly Mays starting a new life again? We'll have the answer.
The herd. When one turns, they all turn. Safety in numbers? Not always. When in danger, they can panic. The advantage of thinking for yourself lets you make clear decisions. It sets you apart and keeps you ahead. Mutual funds from American Century. Invest in our thinking.
This Subaru Outback is pretty impressive.
Not wrong there.
It gets better gas mileage than a Cherokee, holds a turn tighter than a Blazer.
Don't forget acceleration.
Acceleration.
That's right. Goes 0 to 60 faster than an Explorer.
Competition must be worried.
Oh, yeah. They're scared stiff. Subaru Outback, the world's first sport utility wagon.
There's a place no more than a few hours away where cats fly and cows swim. A place where the sun rises on one ocean and sets on another. In a place like this, anything's possible. The Conch Republic.
Black citizens at odds with Beverly Hills cops. These African Americans are angry, claiming harassment and intimidation.
We're being stopped because we're black, plain and simple.
A police department targeted in a $1 million lawsuit. Plus, Ritalin, the drug meant to help children, has become a drug of abuse with sometimes deadly results.
You can die from it. It's just like taking cocaine.
On special assignment on the next CNN Presents, Sunday, 9 Eastern.
February, not usually the best time to take a dip in the Long Island Sound, but don't tell that to these folks. Participants in Madison, Connecticut's annual Penguin Plunge jumped into waters close to the freezing mark. It was all for a good cause. Proceeds benefit the Special Olympics. Well, before you brave the elements, here's CNN's Ted Textor with the forecast.
Just stay bundled up across most of the United States, northern tier especially, on up into Canada. Look at the temperature readings we're expecting. The teens, the single digits, all the way on up into the western provinces. North and east a little bit cool there, but not quite as bad perhaps as you go all the way south into Florida, down into the western Gulf region, still chilly air, and into Mexico too. In the Baltimore and the Washington, D.C. area, we're looking for 4 to 8 inches of snow through the nighttime. Because of this low that continues to spin, it finally moves offshore through the night and into Sunday morning, throwing moisture back into cold air. The result, you know, is snow. High pressure builds in. It clears the skies across the south and the east, the mid-Atlantic region. So sunshine for you on Sunday. High pressure farther to the west, in between a couple of little valleys, little troughs. With that, maybe some precipitation. Could be some snow, a bit of rain mixed in too. And in the north and the west, we're watching a new front as it moves in all the way from central California northward into British Columbia. Rain showers as you get into lower elevations, and looks like some snow in the mountains. Detailed forecast for you now.
A 2-hour massage really make you feel like you've had a vacation? Yep, I would say probably. And day spa owners and some of their biggest fans say yes. CNN's Janine Sherrill takes a spa tour in our All About Women report.
Up an escalator and into another world at Los Angeles' Skin Spa. Covered in rose petals and sweating up a storm inside a foil wrap is one way to get away for the day.
It is for escape, it's for tranquility, it's relaxation, it's pampering. Not pampering with the connection of indulgence, but in the sense of self-love, self-respecting yourself enough so that you want to do something good for yourself.
Day spas like this are popping up all over the United States as Americans put more time and money into their bodies. Many spas are extensions of traditional beauty salons.
A lot of women, they really want the total look. They want to leave the spa, they come out, they want their hair done, they want their makeup done, and they feel just totally complete.
Rochelle D'Ambra owns the Pierre and Carlo Spa in Philadelphia. She's also a member of the International Spa and Fitness Association, which has started tracking the booming business of day spas. Because any setup can call itself a day spa, buyer beware. Do some research.
In general, the most important thing is make sure you choose a salon or a spa that looks immaculately clean.
And make sure the services are what you want. At the Peninsula Spa in New York City, the rooftop pool helps visitors forget the bustling city below. Dining poolside is part of the charm. The Peninsula offers special spa meals and the services of a nutritionist.
First, we offer evaluation. We do either computer analysis or a 24-hour recall to find out what a typical lifestyle and dietary intake is for the day. And then we do an analysis of that.
Health-related wellness programs are one of the biggest trends at day spas.
We have a chiropractor, and that's a moving trend you're seeing in day spas. You're starting to see chiropractors, plastic surgeons, cosmetic dentistry going on. It all works together.
A head-to-toe spa treatment doesn't come cheaply. Expect to spend upwards of $100.
It certainly is less than a trip to Hawaii or sometimes dinner for two in a very special restaurant.
But what restaurant romances you with candlelight and a gloppy green seaweed wrap? Janine Sherrill, CNN, New York.
All About Women is brought to you by Revlon, revolutionary products for revolutionary women.
Just because I wear makeup doesn't mean my clothes have to.
Revlon creates Color Stay, the revolutionary makeup that won't rub off on your collar.
Or on him.
Oil-free Color Stay makeup sets in 60 seconds, feels comfortable, looks just applied all day or all night. Color Stay from Revlon, makeup that won't rub off.
Because a woman should always make her mark, but not with her makeup.
This is an investment fund manager from one of our competitors. He alone handles millions of dollars in funds, possibly your money. He works hard. He deserves a vacation. The question is, who's minding the store? At American Century, our mutual funds are managed by teams. When one of us goes on vacation, your money doesn't.
Good day, Uncle. Need a lift?
Nice car, kid.
It's my Subaru Outback Sport.
Another Outback.
Same all-wheel drive traction as yours. Got a gas mileage than the Cherokee Sport.
That's fine, but can she?
Alcorn or RAV4? No problem.
Smart boy. Must run in the family.
Outback Sport. The newest Outback from Subaru.
Watching TNT in February could result in a quickening of your pulse, sudden rushes of adrenaline, rock and roll, a drastic rise in temperature, or an uncontrollable smile on your face.
Hey, bet your butt, bet your butt.
And when you start seeing stars, don't be alarmed, because they're not in your head. They're right here, all this month on TNT.
A Florida girl who was switched at birth is now a married woman. 18-year-old Kimberly Mays Twiggs was married today in Orlando. Twiggs and another girl were switched at birth in 1978. The mistake came to light more than a decade later. Twiggs sued to divorce her biological parents and stay with the man who raised her. She won the case, but later moved in with her biological parents anyway. All members of Twiggs' extended family attended her wedding. Hubble, the Hubble telescope. It's a complicated instrument with a complicated task. But some students are striving to do simple things in the most complicated way possible. Purdue University students designed elaborate machines in the tradition of cartoonist Rube Goldberg. The winners took first prize for a contraption that took 43 steps to put a compact disc into a CD player. I'm Andrea Zinga at CNN Center. Style with Elsa Clench is next. She takes a look at the annual awards ceremony of the Council of Fashion Designers. And stay tuned for CNN Sports Illustrated at the top of the hour.
Sunday on Late Edition, White House Budget Director Franklin Raines plus Senators Dodd and Domenici with your call. Late Edition, Sunday, noon Eastern on CNN.
It's the $3 million sell down, the biggest sale of the year at Sylvan Furniture. We must move it before year-end inventory. Most everything in the store is slashed to move. The brand names you trust at prices that are hard to believe. Dining rooms, living rooms, bedrooms, appliances, TVs. Our best prices of the year on Simmons and Beautyrest mattresses. Get a Simmons Twin, only $69 each piece. A Beautyrest Queen set, just $449. Stacks of closeout and slightly blemished mattresses with new warranties, priced even lower. At these prices, the sale won't last long. The $3 million sell down at Sylvan Furniture today.
Go to Bountiful Fresh Foods, your natural gourmet super grocery on Division and Main in the Globe Building, and pick up your Garland Theater tickets free with any purchase. Tickets good for any Thursday movie.
If you're adding on or remodeling, give Empire Glass a call. Even though replacement glass is our specialty, if it's glass, we do it.
See the revolutionary ventless gas stove by the Earth Stove Company. It doesn't need a chimney. And pick up your free Garland Theater ticket at Northwest Hearth Warmers, Spokane's Earth Stove headquarters on Northwest Boulevard.